The boardroom smelled like fresh varnish and stale deceit. The CEO, Evan Pierce, couldn't meet my eyes when he said it. His voice shook slightly, but he masked it with corporate polish. "We appreciate your contributions, Nathan. The merger will proceed without you." He didn't have to say more. I already knew. They had taken my work, my patent, my years, and now they were cutting me loose right before the payoff. I'd spent 6 years building the algorithm that made their entire acquisition possible. 6 years of sleepless nights, of quietly coding brilliance into being while others took credit in meetings. I saw the glances across the table: legal, finance, PR. They all knew what was about to happen, and not one of them spoke. So I smiled. Of course. Thank you for the opportunity. They thought they'd won. The seed. Evan and I weren't always enemies. I still remember our first night in the lab. Pizza boxes, empty coffee cups, and the spark of shared ambition. He called us architects of the future. I believed him. Back then, we were just 2 engineers with a dream. We built everything together: the company, the system, the patent. But success has a way of curdling good men. By the 3rd year, Evan had stopped calling me partner. He called me CTO, then tech lead, then nothing. He started bringing in investors, men who smiled too wide and shook my hand too hard. Meetings shifted from vision to valuation. I saw the change in him, the hunger for prestige, the way he began dressing for magazine covers instead of late-night debugging. The first real crack appeared when I noticed a copy of my code running on his private server. He said it was testing redundancy. I knew better. The betrayal. I didn't confront him, not yet. Instead, I watched, waited. Every new update he presented to the board had my fingerprints hidden inside. My variable names, my logic structures, my syntax quirks. He was stealing my work one commit at a time. So I began documenting, quietly, obsessively. Git logs, email threads, NDA drafts. I even recorded a few of his late-night calls when he thought no one was listening. Then, one evening, a junior associate accidentally copied me on a legal memo. It outlined the merger terms, the acquisition value, and in a single line buried deep in the document, I saw it. All intellectual property, including the Pierce algorithm, will transfer to Heston Dynamics upon signing. The Pierce algorithm, my algorithm. That's when I stopped being angry and started planning. The restructure. Revenge doesn't need rage, it needs patience. 2 months before my termination, I quietly refiled the original patent. See, in the early days, Evan insisted on filing it through a temporary shell entity to keep things clean. What he didn't realize was that I was listed as the inventor of record, and only I. I updated the filings, tightened the ownership chain, moved the registration into a private LLC under my control. All legal, all silent. Then I waited. The week before the merger, HR called me in with that rehearsed sympathy. Restructuring, they said. I nodded, signed their papers, and walked out. They thought they'd removed me, but I was still sitting in the foundation of everything they built. The signing. The morning of the merger, I sat in a cafe across the street from the hotel. Rain on glass, news vans outside. Everyone inside dressed in blue suits and forced smiles. I could see them through the window. Evan, the board, the lawyers, they looked victorious. Then the phone rang. Heston's lead counsel. I'd sent them a single-page document an hour before the meeting. A verification request, nothing more. Just proof of patent ownership before transfer. Standard due diligence. When they ran the check, the system flagged it. Inventor, Nathan Cole. Assignee, Equinox IP Holdings, LLC. Mine. I watched through the rain as the first frown appeared, then the whispers, then the shouting. Papers shuffled, faces drained. Evan's jaw tightened, his hand shaking as he grabbed his phone, calling me, I'm sure. I didn't answer. The reckoning. By noon, the merger was dead. Without the patent, the valuation collapsed. Investors fled. Stock halted. Evan's empire evaporated in less than a day. That night, I received an email from him. Just 4 words. "What did you do?" I didn't reply. A week later, I sold the patent. To Heston, privately. For a fraction of the merger price, but enough to make every sleepless night worth it. I didn't ruin him out of spite. I just corrected the record. The world would know whose idea it was. Sometimes justice doesn't come from shouting. Sometimes it comes from signing. And as for Evan, the last I heard, he's still trying to start over. Funny thing about building from scratch, though, you can't rebuild what was never truly yours.